Hello, today is September 23rd, and we're here with Joan Padilla, a Democrat challenging Tony McComey for the state representative seat in the 71st District. I'm Tammy Sloop, regional editor with Shaw Media, and I'm joined by Sauk Valley media editor Erlene Hinton, as well as Sauk Valley reporter Tim Eggert. Thanks for meeting with us today, Joan.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Mhm. Let's start by, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running?
Okay, so as you said, my name's Joan Padilla. I'm the Democratic candidate for state representative here in the 71st District. I am currently the executive director at Home of Hope Cancer Wellness Center. That's in Dixon. So we're a nonprofit organization that helps cancer patients and their families just navigate through from the time that they're diagnosed and hopefully on to recovery. So I've lived in Sterling my whole life, other than when I went down to school in Carbondale at SIU. And my husband Tom and I have raised our family here, and we are so fortunate to be in a community that really pulls together. I decided to run for office. This is my second time running. I ran in the previous cycle. And, you know, the bottom line is although I was unsuccessful the last time, it does not erase the fact that I am truly committed to my community and serving it. And I still feel that our representation in Springfield is lacking the voice that is so needed to bring programs and services to really improve the quality of life here in our communities. So I decided to make another run for it.
Okay, thanks. I think Erlene has a question for you.
Sure.
So, Joan, how would you rate Illinois' response to COVID-19? And if you were the supreme leader, so to speak, what would you have done differently or would do differently in the future?
So we are in unprecedented times. I think everybody can agree with that. A pandemic of a novel virus that has things just completely changing day in and day out. You know, it is going to be a very stressful time and challenging time for so many, and for governments, it truly is a challenging time. I believe that Governor Pritzker, Illinois, really jumped on as quickly as possible. You know, I really feel that we are in those chaotic times right now because if you look at it, the federal government, the administration never ever really put forth a cohesive a message, a plan for the pandemic, and basically said to the states, you're on your own. And so Governor Pritzker, you know, did what he needed to do, and he worked very hard at getting the PPEs available for the state, for those on-site, you know, workers, the healthcare workers. He was able to get the ventilators to Illinois. He put together a team of medical experts and professionals, and you know, that is what leadership is. You know, you can't say that, well, I'm the governor and these are my thoughts. You have to bring in people that are experts and professionals in those backgrounds. So with Dr. Ziki and her team, the Illinois Department of Public Health, you know, that's the recommendations that should be followed. And I know it has caused a lot of consternation and a lot of hardship, but we don't know the full effects of this novel virus, and we need to make sure that we are being patient, that we are structuring the direction and the plan as slowly as we can to ensure that the health and safety of the people that live here in our communities.
I just have a little follow-up to that. There was recently a mobile testing unit that was in our coverage area in Forest and Mount Morrison. They had less than 20 people that came out to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you have any insight into why some people are just, I mean, it's free, it's convenient. Do you have any insight into maybe why, what, you know?
So few. So the one thing that I would have done differently, if I were to be able to reach out with the medical professionals, is I would have wanted broad spectrum testing. Our goal should be not just testing people that are symptomatic, but we should be testing everybody, as many people in the population that we can. I think currently we're still right about, what is it, 2.5%, 3% of the population getting tested. We know that in order to curb this, or to get a handle of this virus, we need to know where it's at. Why you probably had so few people come to the testing area is probably anxiety, fear. What is it going to do to their life if they come and are tested positively? They are going to have to then self-isolate. Is there a concern about employment, being compensated? All of that with the economy, I think is probably what possibly is keeping people from getting tested. And unfortunately, again, without a cohesive message from the administration in Washington, and the unfortunate push that this virus is no big deal, I think people are reacting, and they're not taking it as seriously as possible. Does that make sense?
I just have one more question, Tammy, if I may.
Sure.
It seems like all the health departments in our coverage area are handling reporting, testing, and the sharing of information differently. So I don't know, how does somebody come in a position of higher state authority and dictate to these local entities who are governed by Ogle County boards? They're all employees, they're not elected, the health department directors. How would you solve that problem?
Well, again, we need to have a plan, a pandemic plan that starts at the top. So legislatively, not necessarily legislatively, I guess, the direction of the Illinois Department of Public Health, I believe, should have brought forth one system of testing, one system of recording, one system of then getting that information out to the communities. We have still, because of the state and how things were set up, we have a lot of now, even our own districts, our own separate county health departments acting on their own. And we really need to have one clear directive. And that's something that I would have probably put forward, doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Outside of his response to COVID, how would you rate the governor's performance?
He's getting, he's getting his sea legs, that's for sure. You take on the position, and I think the first few months are a learning curve. I think he's finding out that just because you're the Democratic governor and there's a majority of Democrats in the House and the Senate, you still have to work together, and you have to work with Republicans. And I believe that he has the best interest of the state. There is unfortunately conversations throughout the state that are, really putting forth an effort to, I believe, undercut the duties and the responsibilities of what this governor is trying to do. He came into a situation in Illinois where we are in some very challenging financial times. I mean, the previous governor, without that budget for 2.5 years, put forth a lot of extra headaches, as far as I'm concerned, trying to do the backlog of bills and then still address, pension reform. So he's coming forward with a plan that I believe is trying to get Illinois on the road to recovery. And in all honesty, I think that the Illinois people haven't been told the truth for so long that when these directives come forward, like the motor fuel tax that was doubled, yeah, that seems very extreme. But if we look at when the last time that motor fuel tax had changed, that was been 9 years. Prices we all can agree on have not stayed stagnant over 9 years. And what has happened is keeping that motor fuel tax at the level that it was for that long really handcuffed the municipalities, handcuffed the state to be able to do the work that that motor fuel tax is designed to do, and that is roads, construction, repairs, making sure that our roads and bridges are safe for traveling. So you lose buying power when the revenue coming in isn't at the level that it should be. So unfortunately, that was a big step that Governor Pritzker had to put forth. But I do believe that Illinoisans will now start to see that that money is going to do the good that it's supposed to do, and that is get to those repairs that have been long overdue.
Okay.
Did I answer your question, or do I?
You did. I was just taking notes.
I'm sorry.
Erlene, you have a question?
Well, kind of on that same vein, due to all the turmoil with Mike Madigan, do you think he should resign?
I think that, we have there is this fervor in Illinois that, such mistrust in government, and it's unfortunate that it's there. I believe that Michael Madigan has not been charged with any wrongdoing. However, in the event with the coming investigations, both local, statewide, I know that we've got now a team of representatives that are doing an investigation, and they are going to be bringing, I believe, Speaker Madigan in for questions. I think he needs to be cooperative, and I believe that he is due his time to, that's what we have our justice system for. You are assumed to be innocent until proven guilty. And I think that needs to play out. But Speaker Madigan does need to understand that what's in the best interest of Illinois. And if his being part of this investigation is being a distraction, then by all means he should step down.
What are your thoughts on the fair tax amendment?
I believe it is the first step in getting the state on the right road to recovery. The research that I've done points to the fact that Illinois tax structure is upside down. We rely too heavily on our property taxes to fill that void that is the responsibility of the state. The state brings in an income tax at a flat rate, and moving to a graduated rate, much like many of our neighboring states have, will bring in that revenue that can go towards the pension reform. It can go to those paying the backlog of bills that was due when Governor Rauner didn't have a budget. So the bottom line is right now, the flat tax is not bringing in the necessary funds just for the basic services, and that's basic services like our public safety, police officers, firefighters, EMS, our education, our social services. It's not a matter of spending. It's a matter of what is it that the state is there to provide. And that's for the betterment of the people. And when you're not able to do that, you need to take a look at how things are. So this is just a restructuring of the tax structure in Illinois, and I think it will be a good thing. Bringing in $3.2 billion in revenue that can be put towards, like I said, those things that are lacking, and also, let's get a rainy day fund. Let's get a savings so that in the event a natural disaster or a pandemic comes along, we've got resources to help us out.
In relation to that, what's your response to those who are worried that approving the amendment would open the door for lawmakers to continue raising taxes in the future? And with the corruption in Illinois and the mistrust of, our lawmakers, what would you say to those people to, calm their fears that that's not what our lawmakers are going to do in the future?
Sure. So we have to be clear and we have to be truthful. The opposition is bringing on a lot of anxiety and fears. So for anybody watching, anybody that's concerned about this, your legislator right now can go down to Springfield. They can meet and they can raise taxes right now. They do not need to have the Constitution opened up. This fair tax amendment, again, is only changing the structure. It's removing the flat part of it so that everybody gets taxed the same, and it's just allowing the legislature to put in graduated rates, much like our federal government. The graduated rates that are proposed are actually in line with Iowa and with Wisconsin. And so, will legislators be able to raise taxes willy-nilly? Yeah, they can. They can do it now. I don't have an appetite for that. I believe that the rates that are set, I believe that we can see how these rates, what they do, and the good that's going to come from it. Using that $3.2 billion in extra revenue, spending it wisely, getting that pension reform done is so important, and so what I would focus on if I'm down in Springfield. This fair tax will not hurt senior citizens. There's a lot of push that retirement incomes will now be assessed an income tax, and that's not true. There's nothing in this amendment that's going to be voted on November 3rd. There's nothing in that amendment that says that retirements are going to be taxed. Can they tax retirement right now? Again, the legislature can do that tomorrow if they want to, but there's no appetite to do that. That's the one positive thing in Illinois when it comes to taxes, is that we don't put that burden on our seniors. And I just don't feel that any legislator will do that because they haven't done it for years. And I don't see that being part of put on the table. So people need to understand that 97% of Illinoisans will see their tax rate either A, stay the same or go down. 97%. That's huge. Whereas 3% of Illinoisans will just be asked to pay a little bit more. And I think that that's fair.
Okay. Earlene?
So, Joan, you mentioned Iowa, and I guess this next question kind of leads into that. Your district really is on the western edge of
Sure.
Illinois, and right across the river is Iowa. And do you have a plan, or what would be your suggestions to grow jobs in Illinois when it's so easy to, jump in the car, drive across, buy gas that's, 30 cents cheaper? What's your plan to try to keep the jobs in Illinois, and then also try to get more jobs in your district?
Sure. So I think it starts with education. I was on the Sauk Valley board. I was a trustee, and just to give an example, we as the board oversaw different programs that were at the college, and we worked very closely with the employers in Illinois. So when manufacturing came to the school, to Sauk, to say, hey, we need something. We're spending a lot of time and effort training our new employees with just skills that should be basic, coming into work, you know, how to use a time clock, all these very simple things, but they were spending a lot of time and they were actually having a lot of turnover because the skill set wasn't there. So in order to help them, we came forth with the manufacturing certificate program where we took on that responsibility. We had the people in the area sign up for that course. They were then given a certificate upon completion, and then our manufacturers in the area knew that they had employees that were set and ready to go. So that was huge, and it was a very positive thing for our community. When you have people coming out of our education system, whether it's high school or our community colleges, and they are ready, prepared with the skills to be successful, then our businesses realize that we are serious about investing in our young people, in those people that need to be retrained, maybe because of job loss. Our businesses are going to see that as a very positive thing, and they're going to say, hey, let's check this out. So then our businesses will come. They're going to employ more people. Those people will set their roots down. Our families will grow. They're going to put their kids into the education system. And so it comes full circle. So education is key, making sure that it's solid and strong. It's all about curb appeal. You know, when we show our neighbors, when we show businesses that we're willing to invest in our communities, then they're going to come and they will make our district stronger.
Okay. What would you consider your top priorities, and how would you propose accomplishing these if you're elected?
So my two real focuses on, if I'm down in Springfield, will be on education, making sure that the state continues on with evidence-based formula funding for our schools. I think that that's so important, that from pre-K through 12th grade, that they have the tools and the resources available to get them prepared to be young adults into our community. So that's one of my key focus topics. And then also for the growth in the district, we have a lot of empty spaces, and I think that we need to start looking at our communities and repurposing buildings. You know, I would like to, I got this idea from a mayor in a small town who utilized a young lady that was an entrepreneur, and together they put together a day where they asked the philanthropic community organizations, the entrepreneurs, the small business development centers to come and tour the town and to look at the empty sites. And their goal is to get people in there. And so it was much like a speed dating type of a situation where they just went through the town and toured these empty spots and really thinking outside the box. And I believe that that is a great effort to work on, having our small business development centers, making sure that we invest in them so that they can then bring in the talents and the skills of the people that live in our communities, that they're the entrepreneurs, and helping them get their business plan together. And then looking at the empty buildings to see what we can do to repurpose them. I believe that that is definitely a step in the right direction, and it brings the community together, and it will make us stronger.
Okay. Earlene?
So, you know, the 71st district's very diverse in that, you know, it stretches along the river there, and it's there's a lot of economic drivers that are related to tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a little bit further to the east, and it's more about agriculture. How would you be an advocate for the family farms and that are trying to maintain their businesses, today and into the future? What would you do to help them?
Sure. So one thing that I have done, and I've spent the last year on, I'm very excited about, with the recent legalization of hemp growing. It's a fantastic product, or it produces fantastic products, or the opportunity. I've been going to the area hemp seminars, and it's really amazing the number of farmers that are coming to learn about hemp production as maybe a third or fourth crop to consider. They do have a lot of questions, they have a lot of energy, and they're very curious about it, but it always comes down to what it is that they're going to have to invest in to make it a profitable crop for them to consider. And so what I see is working with the farm bureaus, working with farmers, understanding what can possibly be done with hemp. You know, there's all kinds of things. We've got John Deere over in the Quad Cities, you know, working with them, with their engineers, to allow farmers to get those tools, maybe to retrofit the farm implements that they have to be able to plant and to then harvest this crop. But once you've got the crop, where do you take it? And if you look around and do your research, Illinois does not have any manufacturing companies that do hemp. And hemp, like I said, has so many wonderful avenues that it can be taken. It can be used as building materials. It doesn't mold. It's very good for insulation, non-allergenic. There's medicinal purposes, you know, that hemp is used for, all kinds of things, textiles. So really, as an agricultural district, this just seems to me that we should be exploring that. And so as a state legislator, I would love to jump in and get a collaboration of farmers, the farm bureaus, and government, and those people, investors, you know, to get something like that moving.
You know, when my grandparents, we lived in Ogle County my entire life, but when they moved down here, my grandpa worked at the hemp farm in Polo.
Polo.
But there still is a stigma. When people hear hemp, they immediately go to cannabis. So that's
Right.
going to be one of your challenges, right? To educate people on,
Yes.
you're talking two different types of products there.
Right. And we do have the legalization now of recreational marijuana in Illinois. So hopefully we can, you know, have those conversations and transition into, but I really truly believe that hemp in the 71st district is really going to be something that can really grow, literally, the district.
Okay. We're coming up on the half-hour mark, and I know you've got meetings to get to today. So our last question for you is, what do you think are the key differences between you and your opponent, and what sets you apart?
So my opponent comes from the, her platform has always been, she wants small government, less government. I believe that our government is there to serve the people of the state, especially during this crisis. I'm concerned at how much less government. I mean, we have seen very clearly the need for direction from the government, and the programs and the services that are coming directly from the Illinois Department of Health. So this is not a time to be pulling away and reducing government. We need to make sure that we understand what government is there to do. And my background in nonprofit work, as you know, nonprofit organizations have a mission statement. And that mission statement guides every program and every service that we have. Everything has to be mission-centric, and we follow it. And we also, as a nonprofit, are continuously reviewing and assessing what our programs and services are and what they're doing and how they're serving the people. And we adjust accordingly. You know, we don't have an endless stream of revenue coming in as a nonprofit organization. And so we're very prudent with how we spend the money. That's what I'm going to take down to Springfield. Our mission statement, if I consider it, is our preamble. And if Illinoisans go to that preamble and they read what is in there, it serves as a guideline to what legislators should be doing down in Springfield. And if I can just share, you know, it starts off with, we the people, the state of Illinois, grateful for God, civil, political, and religious liberty, which he has permitted, seeking his blessing in order to provide the health, safety, and welfare of the people, maintain a representative and orderly government, eliminate poverty, inequality, assure legal, social, and economic justice. And this is what I really want to focus on, providing opportunity for the fullest development of the individual. Right there. I mean, that is my goal as state representative. The 71st district will not be disappointed if I'm down there representing them.
Joan, thank you very much for your time today.
Appreciate
And for those who are viewing this, just a reminder that the election is November 3rd. You can vote early, you can vote by mail. Please come to Shaw Media. In any of our markets where we're doing these types of interviews with candidates, please come to us for full coverage of the election and all the candidates. And again, Joan, thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful day.